Hey there, my name is Harrow, and in this video I'm going to talk about 5 questions I get asked a lot about RV sizes in Europe. The big question is, of course, how large can an RV in Europe be to have a comfortable way of traveling? One thing I hear a lot is that it might be difficult to free camp with a large RV in Europe. And the answer is pretty simple. It depends on where you go. The more touristic areas may be a little difficult for free camping, but it's difficult to free camp in those places for large and small RVs. Then maybe in the smaller sized little villages, it's rather hard to camp with an RV, a large RV, on the side of the street. But then, personally, I don't like to free camp on the side of the street anyway. So I usually travel with a large RV, and I never had any trouble parking or finding a free camping spot around Europe. And I free camp basically all the time. I usually just check Park4Night, see some photos, go to big parking spots, but even in nature, I'm doing perfectly fine with a 7-8 meter RV. So I think it really depends on where do you want to go, and I don't think it's something that's really depending on the size of the RV, but more about your personal preferences. Then another thing I get asked a lot is about the ferry costs. And indeed, with a smaller camper van, you are relatively cheaper than with a larger motorhome. The real question you want to ask yourself is, how often will you go with a ferry? And is this worth the difference in storage, size, being in each other's way? So it also depends on your way of traveling. Then going into the largest city. Yes, I believe that when you want to go into the larger cities more often, I think it's definitely better to take a smaller camper van than a large RV. I usually just park outside of the larger cities and then take public transport or my bikes to go into the city, and this works fine for me. I never skipped a big city just because I was with a larger RV, but I can imagine that cities like Paris or maybe London may be a little bit difficult when you have a larger RV, but you do really want to go into that city center without booking a hotel when you want to spend a couple of nights there. I can finally tackle this one lie, and that's all European roads are small. This is just simply not true. Of course, they are a lot smaller than the roads you may be used to in Australia or in the United States. However, they're not so small that you cannot drive normally with a larger RV. Think of all the trucks that go into the villages to bring them food and supplies, all the touring buses that go to touristic areas. They are larger than the normal RV standard, and they can get everywhere anyway. So yes, there are some roads and some villages that I might skip with a larger RV, but I never skipped a place because I had that large RV. Yes, there are some places where indeed the roads are a little bit more narrow than other places, but in mainland Europe, this is not a very big issue. The mountain passes or the very small little villages is just something to be aware of. When you drive in there usually be signs saying, hey, there's a narrow street coming over, and often there's other streets built around for instance, the larger trucks and the touring buses. Also, if there are places where you can't go with your RV, they usually build very big parking places before you go into the city center, and this is actually pretty beneficial for your RV. Okay, let's talk about height restrictions. Especially in the south of France, there will be a lot of places where they have height limits. Well, I can be simple with this one. Even with a camper van, there will be a lot of height restrictions where you don't fit underneath. So yes, height restrictions are a thing, and indeed with an RV you are higher than the regular camper van, but I don't think it's worth taking a camper van over an RV only because of some height restrictions that are pretty easy to avoid. So when it comes to small or larger RV sizes, it really depends on your personal way of traveling. It's also about your lifestyle. Do you prefer that little more spacious luxury life where you can just have a cup of coffee while your partner is still in bed? Are you with a family? Or there's tons of reasons what I could think of in order to want a camper van or an RV. Me personally, I really love the RV and I love to have that little bit of extra storage, especially when I travel for longer periods of time. But I also know a lot of people that really prefer a camper van because they really like to go off that beaten track and go into the city centers, and they just want to have the convenience of not worrying about it. So this is my opinion about sizes in Europe. Feel free to ask me any question you might have and put it down in the comments, and I'll personally answer them myself. Also, if you like my videos, make sure you like and subscribe. And please subscribe on my channel because I'm really trying to grow. And I am releasing my ebook very, very soon. So if you're interested, go to www.harrowineurope.com and learn all there is about buying a motorhome in Europe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you the next time. Bye.